Hello everyone, it's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5-ish. That's what I will call it, 5-ish, because it isn't exactly 5, but I actually walked into my office about 10 to 5 and I had a surprise guest. Let's just say that. And this is somebody I write music with or write songs with, and he plays all the music because he's got all of that piano and guitar down. So we're just planning, so next Monday we're getting back into it. Got one to record and send it down to somebody in California. But here nor there, that was that, and that's why I said what I said there. But I wanted to actually show you something here first before I go into the social dilemma. But I'd like to know if there's anybody on here that has actually watched the social dilemma, be it on Netflix or maybe there's another route for it. But if you have watched that movie, or even if you have heard of that movie, just make a quick comment, yep, yes, whatever, those kind of things, or watched. But I wanted to show you, this is a product from the farmer's market, and this has to do with the gluten-free, right? So the Witchwood Barns is where I go to, and Delish Kitchen, that's what they make it, and I just had it, so it was very, very, very delicious. And this is just because it's gluten-free, and I'm going to just read the ingredients, so you just got to get an idea of what it is. Oh, hi sis. And I'm just going to read this ingredients here. So tiger nut sourdough pizza shell, so as you can see they're not that big. Tiger nut flour, arrowroot flour, water, wild sourdough starter. I didn't even know there was something called wild sourdough. Sea salt, organic olive oil, and Sicilian seed husk. Right? That's it. That's all that's in there. And so I'm going to be making, we're going to be making pizza here tonight, and the kids are going to have the sourdough pizza dough made with whole wheat flour, and I'm going to have those instead because I just got to start to transition out of the grains, you know, entirely kind of thing. Maybe not forever, but there'll be this and that, but on an ongoing basis, not to have it every day, don't even have it for weeks at a time, and pick and choose where to have it. But I wanted to try these, so I'm looking forward to making little pizzas on them and doing whatever you would do, heat them that way. But let's go into the social dilemma. So again, if anybody's on here, if you have heard of the social dilemma, say yes, and if you have watched it, say watched, something like that. I watched it, and I do like to watch things when I hear 3 times from people, have you watched this, or they're sending it to me, and to watch it. And I did make some notes, and I've just got to get my head into what I would comment about it here. But similar as to me talking about the other videos about light and dark, pro and con, as we're kind of looking at anything, pros and cons. You know, this car, that house, this, you know, go here, don't go here, go there. So those kind of things, the pros and cons. So in looking at the social dilemma here, it's very probably enlightening for a lot of people to go, wow, I had no idea that behind all the things that we're doing on the computer, social media included, YouTube, anything that you're doing, they're actually collecting data and learning about you and learning about how this could make money. And it goes into further, which is, okay, this person likes this, so let's show them this and let's show them that, but then let's squeeze in that. You know, they'll go through it with you in the movie. So the pro about it is you will learn from people who actually were the developers, were the executives in the companies like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Google, those kind of things. And this has been going on for a while, and I mean, as far as manipulation goes, it's been going on for however long, before technology came in. But technology absolutely creates the platform for being able to process information very, very quickly, accumulate a lot of information on a lot of people, on a lot of things. So it just kind of expands from any psychological workings that might have been done in the past, maybe through surveys or maybe done through how many views there were on a certain program, those kind of things. So that was probably a stretch for them, and they probably had to try things and see what's happening. In this, I'm sure they're trying things and seeing what's happening, but they quickly can go into, well, within seconds, this is how it works, so now we're going to do that. An instant, right? Instant. So the interesting thing about it is, the con about it is, this is the one thing, and again, I don't really want to make this lengthy, and I don't want to make it so detailed. If you haven't watched Social Dilemma, whether you even watched Social Dilemma, I'll be able to give you an idea anyway. But there was an interesting part about it, and this was at a certain point in time in the show, not in the beginning, because I had watched the first 45 minutes, and then, hello, and then what happened was it started talking about certain things. So let's just say they gave you the impression that you were being manipulated, okay? And they gave you the impression just to what degree and how they do it, okay? Then it brought in something like this. It started showing clips of what's happening today, whether it's the riots or whether it's the Pizzagate, even if you know what that is. And it started to get you to question and how it was created through that, how they easily could influence people on those very things. Now, the interesting thing about the riots, my understanding, is they are paid rioters, and they are paid good money, and I've even heard a rioter speak to that standpoint. They'll go into a protest, a peaceful protest, and they get the show going when it comes to the actual riots. So it didn't make sense that this show was actually bringing up as if it was triggered by people and then somehow certain posts must have got on there, and that's how they're influence people. But this would have happened outside. So when you train people, you don't train people because they're standing in front of a computer. No, you're training these people in person. You may get some certain communication, but they're bringing out information to have people look at the information however they want to look. Yes, okay, riots, great, and giving you all kinds of, incorrect lies and narrative. I get it. But the other thing was they brought up an example, and the example was around a certain situation, and they basically said it's false, and this is how social media can get out of hand. Now, this is not necessarily talking about the AI. It was more about the information that's being shared. And it's interesting because that particular thing that they showed, in my understanding, there's absolute truth to it. So it's almost like they're trying to debunk something that actually has some substance to it, some truth to it, but actually in the show is like they're going, but see, it wasn't, and they showed the particular instance and thing around Pizzagate. So I just found it very funny, not even funny, but funny, that they're actually bringing out these circumstances to actually further the debunking on something. So let's agree that lies and truths can be started through the social media platform. Absolutely. Misunderstandings, divisiveness, all of those things can absolutely happen for all the technological and information age, even through books like the Sapien book, a prime example, but in a book. And if I had to give a not that I don't want to be in a movie reviewer or documentary reviewer, but if I had to say 0 to 10 out of this social dilemma, I'd say a 5. That's what I'd say. There's a middle ground here on what I wouldn't want people to buy into. And it's such a key point for me that that's why I give it a 5. Not an 8 or a 9 because of, all the cool things they're talking about AI and how they're really wanting to care about society in that way. Absolutely. The time on technology, the examples of the addiction part of it, absolutely. But there was something else about it that just didn't feel right. And that was the debunking in certain things about how they're thinking that, how they were saying that certain things could be spread on the social media and people react to it. That's probably possibly true, where people could react on things that they're learning and listening about, yes. But the fact that they use certain things as examples of, that's what I found very peculiar, the examples that they had used. So the one thing that I'll actually mention as well is they brought up the same word, fact checkers. So in Facebook, if they've been trying to get out certain things, certain information about certain things, and we know there's censorship happening, and quite often you may get fact check. You have these fact checkers apparently that were hired and are checking things against what? Against what? We don't know. I don't know. They don't say enough. When you see these things. So they actually brought that up as well. So that was another red flag for me to say that this movie would actually have you believe that you just can't believe or trust anything that's coming through when it's saying. So it's the truths are the truths, and they come out. And however it's taken, and maybe there are people that exaggerate the truths, but that's what I was just kind of focused on there, is going, it's interesting how they brought up these few things or a handful of things that actually would make people think. Now, if they didn't know any better, if they were to, then you might see these things, conspiracy theory kind of things or offside things, and going, you know what, that would get me to watch this, and I'm not going to watch it because I've watched Social Dilemma, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because that's what they talked about. They want to go down the rabbit holes, there's all these rabbit holes. And I want to be caution everybody on the sense that truths are truths, and if you have to kind of view into it, peek into it a little bit, do that. Do that. I wouldn't want you to be thinking just because of this movie, you're going down this rabbit hole. It can't be true. I'm not hearing it on mainstream media. And they didn't talk about mainstream media, which was interesting as well. Because they could have absolutely kind of tacked that on there if they really wanted to make a change and a difference with this movie. Then they could have tacked that out as about information spreading and how that's being done in the mainstream media. Because we do watch mainstream media on YouTube, and we do watch mainstream in certain programs whenever through the other social media channels. We absolutely do, but yet they didn't bring that up. So call this the pros and cons. Pros are definitely for the Social Dilemma to actually just see right front and center the crazy stuff that they're doing with the information, and they're watching you and how they're leading you towards different things based on what you've already been watching, and then monetizing on it. Okay, monetizing on it. So that, that's very informative. That's their personal experience. But once they crossed the line and went into bringing up certain things and almost painting it with a broad stroke and making people go, oh yeah, I can't go down that. It's a rabbit hole. They're remembering this term rabbit hole. And they're remembering that, yeah, that may be false. Like that one part of the program that it said, there's a scenario where this guy went and took a gun and said, yeah, I'm here because of such and such, and they learned about it. Yeah, something fishy about that. But that's what I'm going to say about it. The Social Dilemma that's on Netflix, and you've got to understand that Netflix is not in a good light right now, to tell you the truth. The programming that they have put on there is so sketchy at times and questionable I can't remember what the name of the program, but it's maybe I'm not supposed to remember it, so you don't hear it and you don't go watch it. But it has to do with child, and nonsense stuff. That's all I'm going to say about it. Nonsense stuff and children, and it's yeah. So they've been known to show things and not be in a good light. In fact, there's a whole movement to boycott Netflix out there, to stop watching what they some of the programming that they've chose to put on there. So it's everybody's choice, right? That's the only thing. When I coming on board, I'm just giving you my opinion, the pros and cons. It's be great if you watch it for yourself and see what you think about it and what your opinion is and what did you get out of it. That's, I think, is the best thing to do. And you may just say, well, you know, I'm not too pleased on watching it now because of what Cheryl said. I got better things to do. And yeah, the bottom line is everything and anything that you touch, you like, the amount of things that you like, the things that you like, the comments you put on, the people you're following, everything and anything, words, advertising you click on, the like, all of that is being tracked. And social media, according to these people, was, here's the, remember talking about the pros and cons. The pros about are absolutely people are connecting with people they never thought they would connect with, and more people than if you had to go and visit everybody and pick up the phone and talk for hours. There's all these little sound bites in some ways. I'm not going to say when we have so much attention span. That's, to me, that's BS. The idea is, yeah, you know, you're just making, you know, putting the value to your time and having a bit of time, and you're able to reconnect with more people this way and learn things too as well, and just trying to get both sides on it. And to me, that's one of the good things about technology, is not just to go down a certain rabbit hole or jump into a certain way where it makes it very divisive, but to actually take into account that there are going to be different sides. And when you go to search these things, if you remember, and they brought this up, but I'm going to bring this up here, when you go and search for something, quite often they try to guide you what to click on. So you're searching, you start to search, and the search engines all of a sudden kind of bring up different things. You know, they kind of tack on different words. Now, sometimes it's helpful because you're going, well, I would have put this word, but there's a word like that, and so they've brought it up, and you click on it. That's the only time I'll do that. Otherwise, when I'm in and I'm searching in a search engine for something, I will ignore what they brought up, but kind of peek sometimes. But the idea is, this is what they can do. So if you like certain things, they're able to manipulate what's coming up in those keywords for you to click on. And you might go, well, I was going to put this, but now I see this, and so I'm going to go that. So they know how to distract. You know, there's just a distracting thing. And then, yeah, you go and you search up something. As I was looking at coveralls, because I wanted, you know, I was looking to get coveralls so I can work on my car or do whatever it is. You know, there's just covers you all. And I got them. But it's clear that if you go on a website and you're doing that, and these particular companies are doing advertising, you're on their advertising list. The company came up everywhere, everywhere on the screen. And to observe it, not to just, you know, sit there with it at its sides, but just to observe, you know, that it just keeps coming out. Very laughable. But not laughable, because most people are not aware that these messages are coming up, these advertising and other things that they can slip in there that are similar to what you were looking for, but now we really want to direct them to here. So the movie, The Social Dilemma, is wonderful for that. But in some ways I feel that the other stuff that crept in overshadows that from a scoring. If I had to score 1 to 10, in fact, I'd probably put it down to a 3 or a 4 now. But the idea is, watch it for yourself, and maybe this is helpful, and you go, I'm not going to waste my time watching it. But yeah, there you go. Social Dilemma. I don't want to make a habit of watching everything and reporting on it by any means. But just those few things were just very interesting on the con side. So I definitely wanted to come on today because I finished the other half of it today, and while it was on my mind, but I'm just kind of looking. Yeah, so talking about AI, you know what will be the real issues? Because after you watch the show, you're going to be now questioning everything. You may not be believing or understanding that it's a truth for something because you're going to be watch this show and you're going to go, it's going to lead me down a rabbit hole, or it's it's just that kind of thing. Manipulation. Yeah, so there's some good things in there. About turning off notifications for your children. They actually had, I'm just going to say here, yeah. There's always going to be different viewpoints, and there's this one guy that talked about 3 things to do with screen time. It's a much better word than get off your computer. No, I'm not on my computer, I'm on my cell phone. So kids and screen time. One was no devices in the bedroom beyond a certain time. And you may even choose no devices in the bedroom because you have a TV room and a room where you can have the devices are. But there was that point in time where the devices wouldn't be allowed in the bedroom, or they'd have to be removed from the bedroom an hour before you go to bed, something like that. Time. So what time do you want to budget for to have your kids? Now, I'm going to say this, probably useful for adults too, what I'm saying. Just saying, as they say, I'm just saying. Time budget, and how much time do you want to give screen time? And this would be more for parents and ages, is no social media until they are 16 years old. So no Twitter account, no Facebook account, whatever else there is, Instagram, those things, until they are 16 years old. Now I'm saying 16, you may choose 18. Probably not. You may choose a little younger, but the idea, these are some of the things that the people that were speaking on, that had worked with Twitter, Google, and developers and CEOs and all of these people, which you'll see, because they know better is the why they put this in play. In fact, some of them, and the kids that they have small kids, they don't give them any screen time. There's not even a TV in their house. No screen time, not even a TV. And it's interesting. It's interesting to hear that, but this is the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is, when you are immersed, when you are the expert in something, when you see it with your own eyes to know what's happening and what's unfolding in various things, you can come from that place. So I'll give you another example in health. When they surveyed, now I'm just sharing because I read it, when they surveyed doctors who are in the cancer, maybe they're giving chemo, maybe they're working entirely with cancer, oncologists, those kind of things, and they asked them, if you got cancer, would you get chemotherapy yourself? The majority, I can't remember what the number was, but the majority of them said, no way. No way would they get chemo. Now you think about that, right? So in some cases, when we have people that are in the industries that they're in, they're the most amazing people to ask the questions of. And now maybe we don't know exactly what questions to ask, but the people that are in it, some of them may still have their own perspective. Like a lot of these people that got into it initially saw the good in it, as we were talking about the good, the pros, social media, and all of that. But it soon became clear to them, maybe not too soon, that there was also a dark side. So the light side, but there was also a dark side to all of this. And actually they now go and lecture on this, whether it's TED Talks or universities or colleges or whatever, they go and lecture because they're conscious. Their consciousness, their conscientious being, they can't live with it. So they embarked on it. It's probably why the documentary was actually created. It's just these other things that were put in that it really does make me laugh, because it would have been an excellent program if they had left out those not so good examples, let's just say, and just the guiding and the seeding of and those things. Anyway, that's all I want to come and talk about today. Is the documentary, The Social Dilemma, and The Social Dilemma is on Netflix, but it could be other places. So whether you're inclined to watch it or not, if you are, and you do, feel free to comment below or send me a message. I'd really like to hear what you have to say about it. But if you're going to watch it, here's what I'm going to say. Don't have your cell phone beside you so that a message comes up and you're going, oh, I'm going to see who it is, and take your attention off the screen. Focus in, give yourself the space and time to actually watch it with your full intention and your full attention, and then let me know. So forget about all the distractions. I've seen so many times now people think they can do 3 things at once, and they're watching a program here, like a growth seminar here. They're reading their emails over here, and no, the comprehension is not going to be there. So if you're going to do yourself a favor and turn off your devices and have an undistracted time and watch The Social Dilemma, and then comment, and then give me some feedback. Give me some of your comments. Share your comments. There you go. So take care, everyone. This is live at 5, and I guess today's Tuesday, but still work together and be in peace and coming together and all of that kind of good stuff. It's good to see you, sis. Take care, everyone. Until next time, bye for now.